When thinking about identity and trying to find examples to talk to you about identity in literature, and more specifically, Gothic literature, I keep coming across the same figure all the time. And I'm not going to call it monster because you're going to see the reasons why. I keep thinking about the ghost. Why the ghost? What is the difference? Well, you have to think that if you compare the ghost with monsters such as the vampire, doppelgangers, witches, the witches have been borderline too, werewolves, you name it, shapeshifters, all of those have got something in common. But the ghosts has got something that the others do not have. And that is that they are ethereal and that they have messages for us. I know that we can maybe discuss that the others also do, but the ghost is always controversial. They have these special characteristics, and we're going to elaborate that. So how this is connected with identity is what I'm going to start telling you and talking to you about today. That's why I have thought of creating a mini series of episodes where I talk about the ghost, the role, and what it means for us. Why do we like it so much? And that is going to be inside a bigger blog called The Ghost as a Metaphor That Shapes Our Identity. So if you are interested in ghosts and you like the supernatural and you want to go down the rabbit hole and learn more about the messages, the figure of the ghost itself, and much more using literature, using the Gothic land, the Gothic lens, this video is for you today. So welcome friends to episode 6. I'm Alice and you are in Gothic Land, a place where you meet your true self and we find a lot of things about our own identity. This week, I want to introduce you to a new section that we're going to start talking about from today. This section is called The Ghost as a Metaphor That Shapes Your Identity. And today I'm going to tell you all about, I'm going to do a little bit of introduction. We're going to look at the characteristics and what we can actually learn from the ghost. So today is going to be like a brief introduction to all those. But before we go in depth, before we go any further, just remind you that if you still don't know what the Gothic is, what Gothic literature is, because a lot of people still don't quite understand how we can benefit from Gothic literature, I invite you to download my free presentation on Gothic literature from its origins to our modern times. Why? Why do you need this presentation? You need it if you're interested in all things Gothic, if you like dark elements, if you believe in the supernatural or you are interested, but also because the Gothic talks a lot about our history, cultural aspects, folklore, and who we really are, where we come from, and why we like the things that we like, and how we can even use those things that we like as a type or a form of therapy. As well as that, I'm a writer, I'm a confidence builder through the Gothic. I help people improve or see the gaps in their projects, and that way I can help you create your own path, and we can then work on your very own profile to succeed in your own project. So that's me, and to support the project and support me, you can visit my Ko-fi page. There you will see that I post almost daily. I'm trying to get a little bit more regular with that, because it's a Ko-fi page, it requires of certain products, but the idea is that you can go there and you can benefit from everything I can teach you there. And you will see that I am in a lot of other places and spaces, but my Ko-fi page is the one that you probably are more interested in visiting right now. So having said all that, we're going to be talking today about introducing to you the ghost as this metaphor that actually gives us information about our identity. And the way we're going to be doing this is I'm going to first mention this notion that you all have about the ghost. So let me take you to this brief introduction. So when we think about ghost, what is the first thing that comes to mind? I'm sure that you get probably Hamlet's ghost, Hamlet's father's ghost. You probably get the traditional, the typical, the three ghosts in A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. You might get other programs, even Poltergeist, because that's a type of ghost as well. You might be thinking of Catherine in Wuthering Heights. I know that I talk about this every week almost, but it's true, the ghost of Catherine is very important, and you probably remember this very well. We also have ghosts like, or the Ghost Whisperer, like talking about TV series, we have the Ghost Whisperer there. But even Casper is a type of ghost for children. We also have it, and we also think about Casper because he's quite a cute little character, and that he also has cartoons. But we can also be thinking about the Ghostbusters, more like a fun, family friendly kind of thing to talk about ghosts. And of course, I'm not going to forget our series Supernatural, where one of the main things that they do is to try to help the ghosts to move on, but then they encounter all the types of beings. So this is the initial idea, the first thing that comes to mind when we think about ghosts. But what is it that all these ghosts have in common? And they all have in common one very clear thing. If you think about all of them, they all have a message. They were all once us at some point. What do they all have in common? Why do we like them so much? And ultimately, what is it that they tell us about ourselves and about our identity? This is what we're going to find out. So let's have a look first at the main characteristics. We've talked about a few ghosts to start with, but let's have a look at some of the main characteristics. So what we can find out, that once they were a living person, and therefore they remind us of our own mortality. Another characteristic is their incorporeity. Also their ability to possess you. Remember that some of them can get in your body. Another characteristic is that we can connect with them through ASEANs. So then there's this communication, but they can also haunt and linger in all buildings, which is one of the images that we tend to have. They can also send messages to the living, and they can do that in various ways. And they can be stuck in a spiral. They don't know that they're dead, so they keep coming back to the places. But they also have human characteristics: sadness, fear, anger, happiness even. So why have I chosen the ghost and not, for example, the witches, that they also participate of some of the characteristics that you're going to see that the ghost has? And also they can even go together, the ghost and the witch. If we have a witch, we consider a medium a witch, then they will be part of the same pack. The thing is that the ghost is this element, or is this entity that doesn't just cohabit or lives in this literary space. The thing is that the ghost is not a creation of our minds. Or is it? We don't know. The thing is that the ghost, one of the characteristics that makes it really, really gothic, and it has these shadows, is that it was once a living person, and then it became dead, and then the ghost emerges from the person once is dead. The conditions that this will happen is what we're going to be working and talking about in the next few weeks. But what is the common thing, or the common thread, or the main characteristic between our everyday lives and the literary space? And that is that literature, I always say, and it's not just me, or everybody that writers and academics in general always say that literature is nothing but an artistic representation of how we see the life, and it's our own feelings, and it's how we explore the world. We put it down in paper, is that our perception, and then there can be there can be information regarding historical moments. And okay, so what made human beings start talking about ghosts? Well, if you think about it, this is something that everybody has talked about since the origin of time. The figure of the ghost is something that if we go back, it has always been there somehow. And in different cultures, it has been manifesting itself in similar ways. So that means that if so many people in real life, that nowadays we call them mediums or people with extra abilities, they can see, they can perceive these entities, and there are so many TV programs about it, and there are even machines that can detect the ghosts and the energies and the sounds, and all of these transgresses into literature. And we have that these two will somehow, this ghost is the link between the living and the dead. Also think about Halloween, when we get these ghosts coming from the dead at that time of the year, and they come to warn us, and they come with a message. So that's why I think the ghost is so fascinating, and that's why we need to analyze it and do all this research, because it also gives us a lot of information about who we are as a culture and who we are as people. So how are we going to be doing this journey? As I said before, I'm going to be using some material to actually take you by the hand to see with literary examples how the ghost communicates with us and what we can actually learn from it. So on the one hand, I'm going to be using this fantastic book written by Andrew Jones called Medieval Ghost Stories, that actually analyzes very well the medieval ghost, but it goes back to the very start of the ghost from the Celtic traditions, Scandinavian traditions, and we're going to go back in time, and that's going to be the main reference I'm going to be working on in the next sessions, in the next episodes. Also, as I mentioned, and you know that I always mention Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, we're going to be analyzing the ghost of Catherine at some point, and we're going to be using it to do a lot of references and how this ghost differs from those in, for example, Shirley Jackson, The Haunting of Hill House. These are not going to be the only examples, because as I mentioned in the introduction, we are also going to be talking about Hamlet and making other references that are also equally important, and also to refer to TV programs and series. We're going to be using Supernatural because they bring a lot of the ghosts into the series. They mention loads of them, and I think it's important that that right now, you know, after so many videos created, that I can use this space of the ghost to talk about one of my favorite series, which is Supernatural, and that I haven't spoken enough about here, talked about enough here. And also, if you think about the kids space, we also find friendly ghosts like Casper, and we're going to see in the next few episodes how also kids can benefit, or how is the ghost portrayed in kids literature, and what do they have in common with our more adult-like literature. So all in all, what we're going to be doing is learning a lot about these ghosts, and what are the messages we were talking about before, the messages that they give us, and what is it that we're learning from them. And then would you analyze how they interact with humans? This is what we're going to be finding. Some of the things that we're going to learn from ourselves is that historical events can mold our cultural and personal identities. But through the ghost, we also learn the role of men and women in different historical times. The same way the message of the ghost can change the perception of ourselves, which is what I was saying to you before. But it also tells us about our cultural heritage and folklore, and it tells us about beliefs of life and death over time and how that changes. But they also reminds us of our mistakes, which is something that keeps appearing on the series. It can change our future precisely because of that communication and that message. What we do in this life is what they will collect in the next, is what they tend to tell us. How to change your future or our future path. So there's always like a little bit of lesson and a warning, and how our behavior in life can affect our afterlife. it's super important here that you realize how much we can talk about and how many of those points that you just seen on the screen before actually gives us information about our identity and how much we're going to be learning during this journey. So since this is just a brief introduction, I'm going to leave it here today. I hope that you have really liked it, that you have loved the idea of walking through the ghost, the story of the ghost from the beginning until our times, and see how this ghost also has evolved. So don't forget that if you have liked what you have seen so far, this little brief introduction, we've seen some main characteristics of the ghosts, and we have seen what things we can learn about ourselves. I didn't want to go in depth because each point can be something that we're going to be elaborating for a few sessions, and I don't want to do it all now because it'll be a little bit too much. So if you've liked this video, if you like the message today, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment below and follow me, because that way you are helping me to continue creating all this content that you are enjoying, that you like so much. But also you can find me in other places too. You can find me also on Medium, on Ko-fi, on Twitter, on Facebook and on Instagram. In all those different platforms you will see different sides of me, but it's always the same. So who is Alice? Well, Alice is someone who can actually help you with your projects if you need guidance among all your shadows, because building something is never easy. And I can be your light at the end of the tunnel. And why? Because I am a writer, I'm a confidence builder and a project auditor. Because of that, I can help you sell your products, your services, but not just that. I can also help you prepare your business presentations, your lessons, and we're going to be doing that through the critical thinking and looking through the Gothic lens. So together we will find your pain points and work on a plan. So the purpose is that you gain clarity and confidence from our first video call. I hope that you like this section called The Ghost as a Metaphor that shapes your identity, and that you're really looking forward to the next episodes. So if you have any questions and anything else that you would like to tell me about the ghost or any of your favorite ghosts, I would really like to know which is the favorite or your favorite ghost of all times. So until next week, remember every Friday at 5 o'clock, I will see you on Alice in Gothic Land in the section of talking about ghosts. So see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.